That is what should be an all too common Bengals W. And yet another one that leaves us asking, what if? What's up, you guys? Sean Ross Sapp here. It is December 28th, 2025. The Cincinnati Bengals move to 5-10 on the season with a 37-14 win over the Arizona Cardinals, and it could have been a lot worse. The Bengals pulled starters in the fourth quarter, both defensively and offensively. That led to not a lot of offense in the fourth quarter, and some abysmal defense in the fourth quarter as well. But Joe Burrow, who is not being traded, breaking news, guys. Joe Burrow not being traded, as it was reported, and let me not get ahead of myself. It was reported this week that Joe Burrow is expected to have interest from several teams, and the Bengals aren't looking to move on from him. He's not looking to move on. The name escapes me. I'll find the reporter. It was kind of a duh report, but listen, sometimes you need duh reports. Take it from me. I have to report them sometimes in pro wrestling, but this was, of course, they're not. What, they're going to move on to Joe Flacco, who did get to play today, but that ain't happening. Nobody's surprised by it. It wasn't ever considered. It's never been considered. It's not going to be considered, barring some unforeseen collapse. The Cincinnati Bengals played very well today, despite one very specific player and one very specific play that just had me ready to pull my hair out. The Cincinnati Bengals defense played really good. The Cincinnati Bengals offense also played very good. Joe Burrow, 24 of 31 for 305 yards, 2 touchdowns. He got sacked 3 times in the first half. And then there was not another sack for the rest of the game. And I will say this, week in and week out, we used to pray for 3 sack games in Cincinnati, and this offensive line's streak continues, including Cody Ford, who was brought into the game to fill in for Amarius Mims, who came back in. Cody Ford caught a pass, and they actually a 21-yard pass, and they actually teased him running the ball in as well, which didn't happen. But I'm looking 3, 6, 9, 11 people caught passes. 12 people were targeted for the Cincinnati Bengals today. Jamar Chase, 7 receptions, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns. If he has a big game next week, could tie or break his own Bengals receptions record. If he gets at least 10, he can tie. 11 will pass it. But he only had 5 touchdowns coming into this week because T. Higgins has been the go-to guy an awful lot. Mike Gesicki had a couple passes, a couple receptions, including a big 32-yard gain. There were a lot more of those 15-plus yard receptions. Gosh, at least like 6 or 7 of them today. Lots to like there. Drew Sample got in on the action. Tanner Hudson got in on the action. You know, I'm always looking at Tanner Hudson and I go, okay, what if he didn't fumble at the goal line against the Patriots? However, he has been a very serviceable tight end, and so has Drew Sample. I trust their methods with tight ends. I really do. I think they've done the right thing. But now I got to play the what if game. What if they had the second worst defense of all time before the bye? What if? Because it's been good since then. The Bengals defense has been very solid since then. And if they simply had the second worst defense of all time before the bye, the Cincinnati Bengals are in pretty good shape right now and probably have a minimum of 2, maybe 3 more wins. And next week, they're playing for the chance to make the playoffs. So it's the 3rd straight season where the playoff was within reach and it didn't happen. From an offensive standpoint as well, Chase Brown had an incredible game. 2 touchdowns, 22 carries, 101 yards, 4.6 a carry. He also caught 3 passes for 40 yards. He's been great. And next year will be the last year of his rookie deal, which leads to a natural question of what happens after that. And they were getting Taj Brooks some carries, and Taj Brooks continues to not look great. 3.3 a carry there. Samaje Perine didn't look great today, despite that one touchdown that he got. Joe Flacco got some play in this game, which was very nice to see. But I thought that Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, and Joe Burrow were all the stars on this game on offense. A rare miss from Evan McPherson for an extra point, but I understand the wind was pretty crazy there. He made a 57-yard field goal that looked great. Ryan Rico had a phenomenal punt. Like, the numbers won't reflect it, but great punting job from him. You had Keyshawn Williams, who stepped in for Charlie Jones. I almost said Charlie Brown, and had a really good return of 43 yards on a punt. Like, I thought that he did pretty well there, and a pretty solid kick return as well. So he did really well filling in. So let's talk about the offensive line first off. The first half, really bad. They were giving up an awful lot of sacks. Some of them, one of them was kind of on Joe, and that sort of happens. But Orlando Brown Jr. has played 27 games the last 2 years and has committed 16 penalties. His entire career before that, he committed 23 in 98 games. That is a torrid pace. He's got to clean that up. Didn't end up affecting anybody, but definitely something that you got to clean up. Then the second half, the offensive line played lights out. They did a phenomenal job. This is the offensive line we've always prayed for. Dalton Risner is a must re-sign. You can continue to develop Jalen Rivers. That's awesome. Dylan Fairchild seems like your guy at the other guard spot. You need to be looking ahead at center, depending on how long Ted Karras lasts, and you need to be looking at left tackle after next year. That's what you need to be preparing for. Dalton is your guy for next year. You look at those positions 2 years ahead, in my opinion now. Karras has done nothing to prove that he shouldn't be the center next year, despite that really terrible open. Orlando Brown, if he can clean up the penalties, has done a solid job. Amarius Mims is definitely your right tackle. Dylan Fairchild, definitely one of your guards, and Dalton Risner should be your guard. Now, I think the benefit of having Jalen Rivers, Lucas Patrick, Cody Ford as your backups, these are all guys that would have been starting a few years ago. And it's very nice to see that they are not starting now. You need that. You need that. Also, I just want to say this. Calais Campbell has been available each of the last 3 years, and the Bengals never went and got him, and they should have. Because from a defensive end standpoint, like, I'm glad that Miles Murphy is emerging. That's very nice. The Bengals had 4 sacks today. Might be a season high. But Miles Murphy has ended up having, I think he's got like 5.5 sacks this year, I think. And that's with Joseph Osai out as well. But Shamar Stewart finally got a sack. Finally got a sack. TJ Slayton got one. Cedric Johnson got one. There were probably 2 or 3 more they should have gotten, but the Bengals do not finish sacks very well. But still, a little bit more optimistic than I was before this past week about that, about the performances there. But also, it's against Jacoby Brissett. Next week, the Bengals should have a bunch of sacks, and Shedeur will probably just dance around and chuck the ball. That's what I expect to happen there. No picks today. Kind of surprised. There was one that was really close, but Trey McBride pulled it down. Trey McBride, 10 receptions for 76 yards. They were feeding him to get that record, But Michael Wilson also had 89 yards. Those two guys very specifically were targeted heavily and ended up going like 15 of 23, you know? Um, so there was actually a play and a scheme that I liked very early in the game. Al Golden had schemed up a play. It was on 3rd and like 5 or 3rd and 7 or something. And listen, I don't know about the X's and O's of football. I'm a fan. I'm a fan who does media in something else. And I have seen for the last 3 years that the go-to has been over the middle on 3rd down against the Bengals. Well, Al Golden knew that today and put DJ Turner on Wilson for that play. He was covered phenomenally, and they ended up turning the ball over, and it really set the tone for the rest of the game. If the Bengals kept their starters in, they probably win this game like 44 or 47 to 7. Like that's how much of a one-sided stomping this was. And it is frustrating because this is how the Bengals should have played against the Jets. And I play the what if game an awful lot here on this show, but that's what we have to do as Bengals fans. This is how the Bengals should have played against the Jets. It shouldn't have been close. They were not going to beat the Vikings. They were not going to beat the Broncos. Pretty good chance they don't beat the Lions or the Packers. Those were tough games. They should have beat the Jets. They should have beat the Bears. They should have beat the Patriots. They should have beat the Bills. The Bengals sit at 5 wins heading into the end of the season, and there are 6 different games that you look at and you go, well, the Bengals should have won those. 6 different games. Do you want to guess what gets it done in the AFC North? There's a chance that next week, 9 wins gets it done in the AFC North. 9 wins. You think about how bad the Bengals season has been. The Browns have 4 wins. The Jets somehow 3 wins. Titans 3 wins. Raiders 2 wins. The Bengals have as many losses as the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Actually, sorry, the Bengals have 6 wins. Just want to make that clear, not 5, 6 wins. The Bengals have the same record as the Kansas City Chiefs. Let me tell you about a series of plays that disgusted me. Geno Stone. This guy can't tackle. He can't cover anybody. I do not understand the benefit of keeping him out there on the field. Now, when he got signed, I was so excited. I was like, all right, a safety with 7 picks. And I've mentioned this before. I went back and watched all of his picks, and they were on some of the worst passes you've ever seen. There were a couple that were like, oh man, that looked good. But right place, right time for a lot of that. Last year, that man did not show up and play until like December. This year, he's just got worse and worse and worse. Look me in my eyes. Get a veteran DB. 3rd straight year I'm saying it. Get a veteran DB. Jordan Battle is not your veteran DB. He is a solid player. He is not a person that should prevent you from drafting a safety. Geno Stone is going to be off this team. There was a series of plays. It was bench-worthy defense for Barrett Carter and Geno. No attempt to tackle. Just the worst effort you've ever seen. No attempt to wrap. None of it. He got absolutely big brothered on a play. It was so bad. He just got thrown to the ground. Oh, just horrible. And Barrett Carter, I understand what they're doing. It was throwing him into the fire, so to speak. But he has been bad this year. Need a veteran linebacker as well. Veteran DB, veteran linebacker, and you need a defensive end. Probably a veteran there as well. Hey, how about you franchise tag Trey Hendrickson? You trade him, Shamar Stewart, and some draft picks for Max Crosby. There you go. Let's do that. Let's get to the chats here. Just left the stadium on the Uber ride to my hotel. Great game. Felt meaningless, but a fun game. I was tempted to go, but I'm very big on the not giving Brown family money. But what a nice, lovely day for football today, right? Flew in from Dallas, where I live now. Haven't been to Paycor in a minute. Stadium is so trash compared to the Cowboys. I'm glad you said that. So this offseason, one of my shows that I'm going to start doing is my reviews of other stadiums. Now, I didn't take the kind of footage I wish I did at the Dallas Cowboys Stadium last year, but that's what motivated me to do it. And I've not paid for a ticket in Cincinnati since then. I will go with my friend Drew. That's it. My dude Drew, I'll go to almost any game with him. Couldn't do it to myself earlier this year one time, but I've been there. I've been to Denver. I'm going to go to Indianapolis for sure next year. And then probably I'll fly to one as well. Dust Webb says, F football and F you. Sorry, Steeler game got me mad. Well, I'm excited because at least next week's game will be interesting, right? Between the Ravens and the Steelers, because that's for all the marbles. Yeah, that's for the AFC North. And next week, the Bengals and the Browns play each other in the toilet bowl. Christine, good to see you, says, yes, indeed. Do you think Garrett gets the sack record next week? Chat, is he right? Is he like right there? Is he one away? Is that how close he is? Because if so, he's probably getting that. The Bengals will allow 3-4 sacks next week, probably at least. So if he's one away, I would imagine he gets the sack record as I'm looking. He's a full sack away from breaking the league's single season record. Yeah, I think he will. Okay, he's half from a tie, one from a break. He's getting that. He's getting that next year or next week for sure. Oh, man, I can't believe it. In 1 week, the Bengals season will be over. And despite this bad season, this has been one of my favorite seasons of covering. I don't want to say covering, doing this show. I say covering because I'm used to saying that about my day job, but I've been here for every game. And if you've heard me rant about this before, like I was bummed out about how quickly I gave up last year. And I was just like, I'm never going to do that. Like football is my time. Football is my time. I don't do wrestling stuff during that. I go on my Twitter and I say football on. Go follow me at Common Bengals W. And I can draw a direct line between my mood and just football in general because I love watching football, man. And we did some of our best numbers this year. I'm not a big numbers guy, to be honest with you. I don't really go on there and look at a lot of the numbers, so to speak. But last year, my last show was the most viewed show that I ever did because it was a 3-hour live stream. But this year, we had a show that more than doubled that. And we had a really, really good show a couple weeks ago. And honestly, this year has been the best numbers that I've done on downloads because we're on audio platforms and the live streams and stuff like that. And I don't do it for that. I do it because it's a fun hobby and all that. We've added a lot more shorts as I've been traveling and all that. And it's just been a good time, man. It's been a good time hanging out with you guys. And that's why I already drafted up. Like, oh no, here's some of the shows I'm going to do in the off season. And I don't want to do like non-Bengals stuff on here really. But I'm going to be going to Louisville Kings games, the UFL team, because I got to support a Kentucky football team. But here are some of the shows I will be doing in the off season. I'll be doing a 2025 look back. I'll be specifically taking a look at the Bengals defensive end position. I will grade the 2024 draft based on this year, and then I'll do one about grading the 2025 draft. I will review the Dallas Stadium. I will review the Denver Stadium. I might do one of the Bengals Stadium, but I don't know. We'll do a draft preview. We'll do a draft review at minimum. And then obviously anything around free agency. So I plan on a minimum of 10 shows in the offseason, minimum. And might even have something like as transactions happen and all that, because this I've done more shows this season than any season I've ever done. And it's been a lot of fun, man. Like I just enjoy it. And next year, I plan on having some people from the wrestling world on and all that. But I just want to say thank you to you guys. Again, we are on podcast platforms everywhere. Cody, actually, let's read these. JJ Carter says Rodgers was willing to sacrifice every receiver to avoid giving up the record. Dallas Stadium must be nice because they barely use it in Cheney. Cody says 2025 look back. May I suggest a strong drink? Maybe a Kentucky bourbon. So I've actually never drank before. That's why, like, in my day job, all the like crazy rumors about me are so wild. Like I've taken one puff off of a cigarette in my life. I've taken one sip of alcohol in my life, and it was by accident. Outside of smoking a little bit of weed because my doctor told me to, because I broke my neck, I've never done like drugs. Like I get hangovers when I take melatonin, man. So definitely not a drinker either. But again, we are on podcast platforms everywhere. Follow me at Common Bengals W on Twitter, and of course on YouTube. I'm going to stay a lot more active on our YouTube channel and on the Twitter account in the off season and all that stuff. I really want to do that. And despite this being a terrible season, it has been one of my most enjoyable seasons to cover. I mean, my God, we even got like our custom thumbnails set and all that stuff. Like I stepped it up a little bit here. I believe you can actually go to commonbengalsw.com as well. Let me look here. Let me make sure I still got that domain. I do. You can go to commonbengalsw.com. Until next time, my friends, we'll be back next Sunday. We're out.